in this video I'm going to be talking about planes a little bit more, and more specifically the quadrants that the plane has whenever you draw it out. So if we draw a plane right here, I've got four quadrants that I create here. We call the first one quadrant 1, call the second one over here quadrant 2, this one is quadrant 3, and this one is quadrant 4. And everything is based around the origin. So in the right direction I have the positive x values, and in the left direction I have the negative x values. And in the positive up direction here I have the positive y values, and downward here I have the negative y values. So based on the signs of the coordinates, you can figure out what quadrant the point is going to be in. So let's say that I am talking about points where x is greater than 0, and let's just say that y is equal to -2. Okay? So we're thinking of x values that are greater than 0. So that means the x value is going to go in the right direction here along the x-axis. And that tells me that quadrants 2 and quadrant 3 are out because they contain negative x values. It's on the negative side of the x values. And since y is equal to -2, that means that the y value is pointing downward. It's on the downward side of the y-axis, which means it's a negative value. So the signs that we have for our coordinate are positive x and a negative y. And notice which quadrant that fits into. That fits into quadrant number 4, because it is positive along the x direction and negative in the y direction. All of the values in quadrant 4 are going to have positive x values and negative y values. So for any point with this scenario, it's going to be in quadrant 4. Okay, let's say that I had the relationship of x times y is equal to 4. Okay, so I'm not sure what x and y is, but that's not really important here. What is important is that when I multiply the two values together, I get a positive number. And so the two scenarios in which that's true is I have a positive times a positive. Of course, that gives me a positive number. And as well, I have a negative times a negative number. That also gives me a positive. So I know that my two possibilities is I have a positive x and y coordinate, or I have a negative x and y coordinate. So quadrant 2 and quadrant 4 have differing signs. For the x and y coordinates. So quadrant 1 has both positive values, and quadrant 3 has both negative values. So I know that for this relationship, any point that fits this is either going to be in quadrant 1 or quadrant 3. So I know I don't have too many examples over this topic, but it's pretty easy to get down. So based off of the signs that you have for your coordinates that you're plotting, you can tell which quadrant it's in. And later on down the line, if it's in a certain quadrant, so you can do special things depending on what quadrant your point is in, but that is something that we're going to talk about a bit later. So I hope this lesson on how the quadrants work was helpful and that you got some value out of this video. And stay tuned, and I'll see you guys for the next one.